Scalpels and Secrets, Season 1, Episode 2, Pressure. At St. Luke Holy Hospital, pressure came in many forms. For some doctors, it came from impossible patients. For others, it came from impossible expectations. For Dr. Photina Samba and Dr. Inari Ousseni, it was beginning to come from somewhere neither expected: each other. Several weeks had passed since hospital leadership publicly recognized residents for their recent accomplishments. Life inside St. Luke had largely returned to normal, at least on the surface. Photina began a new trauma surgery rotation. The pace was relentless. Patients arrived around the clock, and decisions often had to be made within seconds. One afternoon, a construction worker was rushed into the trauma bay after falling several stories. The trauma team immediately surrounded him. An attending surgeon reviewed the scans and asked, "What do you think?" Photina studied the images for only a moment before responding. "I think he's bleeding internally. We need to get him upstairs." Another resident looked uncertain. "Shouldn't we wait for another scan?" Photina shook her head. "No. If we wait, we're going to lose time." The attending nodded. "Let's move." Hours later, the surgery was successful. As the team left the operating room, the attending stopped Photina. "You've got good instincts, Dr. Samba." Photina smiled. "Thank you, sir." Across the hospital, Inari was thriving in emergency medicine. A worried mother sat beside her teenage son. The boy had been experiencing symptoms that several physicians had dismissed. Inari listened carefully. She reviewed his chart. She reviewed his history. Then she reviewed it again. Finally, she looked at the mother. "I think we've been looking in the wrong place." The mother asked, "What does that mean?" Inari replied, "I think this may actually be a cardiac issue." Hours later, testing confirmed her suspicion. The grateful mother hugged her. "Thank you for not giving up." Inari smiled warmly. "We just needed to keep looking." As the weeks continued, both women excelled. But something had begun to change. Photina seemed to attract increasing attention from senior surgeons. Her name came up during meetings. Attendings requested her for difficult cases. More than once, she found herself receiving praise during rounds. One morning, a senior surgeon stopped her in the hallway. "I expect great things from you, Dr. Samba." Photina laughed. "Hopefully I don't disappoint." The surgeon replied, "I don't think that's possible." Across the corridor, Inari overheard the conversation. She said nothing, but she heard every word. Later that evening, Photina and Inari met for coffee after their shifts. Photina noticed her friend's mood. "You've been quiet all day." Inari forced a smile. "I'm fine." Photina raised an eyebrow. "No, you're not." After a moment, Inari sighed. "Do you ever feel like people only see one version of us?" Photina looked confused. "What do you mean?" Inari hesitated. "You're always the one people talk about." Photina laughed softly. "That's not true." "It kind of is." Photina leaned back. "Inari, you're one of the best residents in this hospital." Inari looked away. "Sometimes it doesn't feel that way." Photina reached across the table. "Trust me, you're doing better than you think." For a moment, the tension disappeared, but only for a moment. Meanwhile, in the cardiothoracic department, Dr. Dennis Givens gathered several physicians for a meeting. On the screen behind him appeared medical scans unlike anything most had ever seen. The conjoined twins. The room fell silent. One surgeon asked, "Do we really have a chance?" Dennis stared at the scans. "We do." Another physician replied, "It's going to be the most complicated operation this hospital has ever attempted." Dennis nodded. "Then we'd better be ready." As the meeting ended, several residents watched from outside the conference room, including Photina, including Inari. Neither woman knew it yet, but the surgery would change both of their lives forever. The pressure at St. Luke was growing, and the cracks beneath the surface were beginning to show.